Welcome back to another Charlotte Legacy League where we have Maverick versus 4-color Beans. Both players have kept 7. Rob will be on the play, leading off with a Verdant Catacomb, fetching a Bayou into a Birds of Paradise. It's a pretty standard start for a Maverick deck. It's either that or a Noble Hierarch. So we'll see if Byron is going to fire back with like a Source of Plowshare or something along those lines. Looks like we've got an Underground Sea looking at Rob's hand with the Thoughtseize. So we've got a Shadow Spear, Green Suns, a Caracas, a Grist, and it looks like a Questing Beast in Rob's hand. So Byron's going to take a moment to take a look here and see what he should take out. I think Grist or the Shadow Spear would probably be the two. Green Suns also enables him pretty well, but it looks like he is going to take the Grist. And we'll see a pass back over to Rob. Rob picks up another Green Suns. Good thing he didn't take that. So double Green Suns into a Shadow Spear. Looks like we're going to Green Suns. So Byron wasn't punished for taking the Green Suns, luckily. The Grist probably would have came out and play anyway. But he went and got a Termagoyf. And we'll see a pass back over to Rob here. It's got, no, not a Rob, but to Byron. Byron's going to take out the Birds of Paradise here with his Orcish Bowmaster. So he did have some interaction for that. Termagoyf's 4/5 at the moment, with it being a Planeswalker creature land and now a sorcery in the graveyard. So got a Prismatic Ending on the Bowmaster here, and we'll probably see a swing over for 4 from Rob. And yes, we will. See if Byron wants to block or if he just wants to take the hit and keep on moving kind of thing. Not quite sure. Rob is at 9 life this early in the game. Doesn't quite make sense. Actually, he's not. He's at 19. That's my fault. My thing was covering the 1. So, oops. All right, so Rob's at 19. Byron at 17. We'll see a Leyline Binding from Byron. Only costing 2 mana because he does have a Trop, a Tundra, and an Underground Sea to make up 3 different colors. So we'll see that Termagoyf go away and a Ponder from Byron. See if he likes the top 3 cards that he sees here. The 4-color Beans deck does take a little while to get online, but once it does get there, it's pretty hard to overcome, especially if they have multiple Beans in play and are able to capitalize on all of their 5+ mana spells. So another Green Sun Zenith from Rob here. Probably going to get a Mana Dork, which is what he does with the Birds of Paradise. And back over to Byron. Picks up a card. Don't know if he has like anything else he can really do here. A Beanstalk being played would be good. A Wasteland. Byron trying to crush his mana here. So 2 mana coming out. And 3. We'll see a Murktide Regent. Exiling Byron's whole graveyard. It is only a 4/4 at the moment, or sorry, 5/5 at the moment. We've got a Rin and Realmbreaker that's going to offer something, as well as a fetch land. So we'll see a fetch here. Probably Rin and Realmbreaker. Yeah, that's the way to go. And probably downtick here. He's probably looking for another land or another creature here. So we'll see the downtick on the Rin and Realmbreaker. Exiling the top, or not exiling, but top 3 cards of his library into his graveyard. He can pick up a land or a creature card. So Green Suns, neither reliquary in a forest. It looks like he's going to probably go for the forest here. Yeah, he wants to get that Questing Beast that he has in his hand onto the battlefield. So pass back over to Byron. He's in a pretty good spot here, especially with the Murktide being able to kill that Rin and Realmbreaker this turn. Otherwise, that Rin and Realmbreaker can get out of hand fairly quickly, making 3/3 lands that can't be targeted. And a Prismatic Ending as well from Byron. We'll see if Rob can claw back from this. We'll see a Ponder from Byron here. He's got it pretty locked up. Doesn't have very much on Rob's side to deal with this Murktide at the moment. Swords Posture might be able to get him out of this at the moment, but that's really all I can see truly working in Rob's favor here. Even then, Byron may have some counter magic in his hand to deal with this. Haywire Mites could get the Termagoyf back after blowing up the Leyline Binding, so that's not a bad thing. So we'll see if the Haywire Might resolves. It looks like it does. And we'll see a Shadow Spear as well. So a pass back over to Byron. Let's see how he wants to handle this. It's smart to hold off on the Haywire Might in case Byron has another Prismatic Ending in his hand for the Tarmogoyf. If he tries to use the Prismatic Ending on the Haywire Might, then in response he can definitely sacrifice it. So we'll see a Beanstalk from Byron, one of the namesakes of this deck here. And that's an incredible card that was actually just banned out of Modern for it being absolutely ludicrous in that format, along with Fury. All right, so we'll see Leyline Binding blown up here. Rob doesn't forget to gain his 2 life, and we'll see a Murktide come back into play here. So we're counting up everything: the artifact, creature, land, planeswalker. I believe there's also sorcery instant. So it looks like he may be 1 short on that Termodai, but I can't quite make out his graveyard here, and I'm not sure what's in his hand. It looks like it might be, yes, it is a Questing Beast, not to be confused with a Questing Druid, but we'll see an attack for 9 here, and we have another Prismatic Ending coming out on that Tarmogoyf. So Byron had it the whole time, which is kind of tough, but 4 damage coming across to Byron on that from the Questing Beast. We could very easily see that get equipped with the Shadow Spear next turn, and then we've truly got a race here. It's a 5-5 versus a 5-5. There's a Bowmaster, looks like in Byron's hand. It draws another Beanstalk and 2 lands there. So he's probably going to put those 2 lands back. He does have some action here, but those Bowmasters can't do anything against that Questing Beast. So I wonder if he's going to hold that Murktide back or if he's going to try and race it. It does look like he has another Murktide in hand as well, which can't be cast the moment, but is very close to castable with another land. So looks like we're probably going to see that happen, and the Murktide that's on the battlefield will also grow based on the spells in the graveyard being exiled for that Murktide as well. But it looks like maybe it's going to be a Bowmaster first. Nope, another Bean first. All right, so we'll get to draw another card. So it looks like he's going to maximize his draws with this Murktide the following turn. Then Bowmaster he's going to hold back on for now, but he's also holding that Murktide back to block this Questing Beast. Not quite sure what Rob can do here. He can attack with Questing Beast, but it doesn't have Trample. Or it does have Trample, but it doesn't have First Strike, so it's not like he can equip, attack, and then have First Strike damage happen, and then bounce it with the Caracas. Alright, we'll see an attack here with no equip. It's very interesting. I wonder what is in his hand to make him do that. Okay, Green Suns for 3, which you'll go get him, or could go get him, a Red Nether Reliquary, but Byron is very quick to force will that. Looks like he's pitching. He did pitch the Murktide, okay. And we'll see a Bowmaster end of turn, 1 damage over to Rob, so he's got him on a 6-turn clock here, maybe a little less. But, alright, here we go. So 2 damage coming across at Rob. Let's see if he can turn this game around a little bit. Only staring down 2 1/1s is not that hard to deal with for Maverick, which he finds another Green Sun Zenith right away. Getting an Endurance, all right, knocking that graveyard back underneath his library to consolidate and keep him from casting another Murktide. Let's see what else he's got for us here. Byron just seems to be drawing a bunch of lands off of that previous Brainstorm. And we're going to see some equip action going on with the Endurance and an attack for 4. This does have Trample and Lifelink, which is great for Rob. So those 1/1s don't really do anything. So, alright. I think he's got enough life there. It was only 4. I think he was at 11, so I think he needs to go to 15. Alright, well, he waves it off. I think he might have been down or been at 11 life. But he seems happy with what's got going on. Sylvan Library, not so great against the Bowmaster, but he does have the option to use it or not with that Bowmaster in play. So we'll see if he chooses to do that or not. I don't think I'd really take that chance, especially Byron drawing a Swords of Plowshare here. So he's going to choose not to trigger it. Smart move. Another attack for 4 here. I think Byron would be smart to go ahead and Swords of Plowshare that and get it off the battlefield. It does move Rob up to 18 life, so Byron does still have to work through everything else that the deck could offer, but he is back in control of the board state at the moment. There's a Ponder that could set himself up with another counterspell. He has all the mana in the world, so it's not going to be a big deal. So top 3 off this Ponder looks like land, swords, and potentially another land there. So not exactly what you're looking for, but I mean, I'd probably shuffle that, and Byron does do that, and draws looks like another land. Swing over for 2. We'll see an Endurance come in again. Byron probably kicking himself for not holding on to that Ponder now that the Swords of Plowshare has been shuffled away. And Rob's going to see a trigger on the Sylvan Library. Picking up, looks like a Prismatic Ending there. Probably going to take him off one of these beans. Equip on the Endurance, another attack. That'll put Rob up to 22, Byron down to 3. And then maybe a Prismatic Ending on one of these beans, or just taking out the blocker. Smart move, taking out the blocker on that. Byron is 1 turn away. Looks like he ripped a Sauron's Ransom, which is something that could get him back into this game pretty easily, depending on how Rob stacks it up. So we'll see if that's what he chooses to do. Byron fiddling with his mana here. And man, he's got a whole bunch of lands in his hand, that's for sure. 2 mana, 3 mana, and we'll see that Sauron's Ransom come out. So Rob's going to look at the top 4 cards of Byron's library, and then he's going to be able to put them back either 1 upright, 2 upright, or 3 upright, and hide 1. I think I would give Rob. I think Rob should give him a Force of Will and a Brainstorm versus the other 2. So he's going to offer up 2 Brainstorms versus 2 Unknowns. Obviously, the Force of Wills don't really help. So you take the 2 Unknowns, obviously, because you're dead next turn. So we'll see what he chooses to take. He's going to take the Lord Revealed and Brainstorm, which is essentially going to be an Ancestral Recall actually, it's more than Ancestral Recall. He's going to get to draw 5 cards off of this thing. He's just going to start off with a Brainstorm and see if he can find an answer to. Yes, he does. He finds a Triumph of St. Catherine and a Swords of Plowshare. So he can stack this to where he Swords of Plowshares how could he do this? Yeah, he can stack it. Gets the Swords of Plowshare now, and then he, during his turn, what was he going to fetch? Oh, he's going to shuffle that away. Interesting. Not sure why he'd shuffle away the Triumph of St. Catherine. I guess he can just hardcast it next turn, so it's not really that big of a deal to get it off the Miracle. We got another Endurance in hand and a Ren and Realmbreaker. Ren and Realmbreaker would be huge here, because he'll be able to. Alright, his snap takes 8. I think the Ren and Realmbreaker is supposed to come down here and just activate a land, and he can attack for everything. So Ren and Realmbreaker is going to resolve. He can turn a land into a 3/3 creature with hexproof. So that Swords of Plowshare will not matter. Let's see if he does that. Yes, he does. Turns that Bayou into a 3/3, so he has a 4/5. All right, on to game number 2. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to game number 2. Both players have kept 7 here. Byron will lead off on the play Coming up with a Ponder and a Tropical Island here. Let's go look at the top 3. He's going to choose to shuffle those away and just draw a card off the top at random. And we'll see a turn 1, what is that thing? Noble Hierarch from Rob. It's my first day casting here, and I don't know what these cards do. So you'll have to bear with me while I work through this with you. So, Byron's got a couple good cards here. He's got well, there's a Bean, so that's pretty fucking good. He has a Ponder. It looks like he has one of those green-black fucking card. It'll come to me in a second. Witherbloom Command. Has a Witherbloom Command in his hand, which is pretty good to knock some creatures off the board, as well as mill and get some lands back if he needs them as well. But it looks like he's in pretty good shape on lands. So we got 2 lands again, and then we'll probably follow that with a Brainstorm or a Ponder. So we'll see that Ponder first here. It's going to Murktide, Storm's Ransom, and something along those lines. Swords of Plowshare as well. Is what he's going to choose to take. He's going to take him off of that Noble Hierarch that I just remembered what it was. So Rob is in a pretty tight spot here. We got another Noble and a Bird and a land as well. It looks like a Dryad Arbor. So he's getting his mana base back underneath him. I just don't know if it's going to be fast enough for what Byron has here. So Byron does have a Murktide and a Brainstorm. So and it looks like he has a land too, so he can Brainstorm to grow this Murktide first, then play his land, and have a pretty big Murktide in play. So he's going to do Storm's Ransom, Cycle Land, and a Tundra. So he's going to keep the Tundra and play that, and we'll see a Murktide probably come out right here. He does have a Force of Will to protect it as well, so the Queen is in play, and now let's see if he can keep her on the battlefield. Pass back over. Rob's got at least a blocker for a flyer. He does have the ability to Green Sun's here for 4, but Byron again has that Force of Will, pitching that Storm's Ransom, and then Byron also has the. Did he draw a card from Bean? So it doesn't look like he's drawn a card from the Beanstalk yet. He may have missed that trigger. Let's see Haywire might come into play. It's the Mighty versus the. Well, it's Pin versus Sword, I think, at this point. He does have the Witherbloom Command still in his hand, but no green mana to cast it at the moment. But at the same time, Byron's in pretty good shape here with a 7/7 flyer. Rob's on a 3-turn clock here. So there's 1 turn down, and we'll see where we get from here. Rob's going to have to draw a Swords to Plowshare, and that's really about all he can draw to get out of this, I think. Maybe an Endurance, but even then, that's not it. 3 Windswept Heaths are not going to get the job done here. Another attack for 2 from Rob here. He does have 2 life in the bank from this Haywire Might to take out that Bean, but I don't think that's really going to make a difference here. 3 mana at the end step. We're going to see a cycle on that land. So he looks like he didn't draw for that Beanstalk on that Murktide. On that Force of Will. He does have another Force of Will in hand at this point. Attack, and the Bird's going to block. So Bird makes it a little bit more of a game here, for at least for another turn. Another land drawn for Rob. Definitely not getting the job done here. 2 more damage. Death by 1,000 cuts over on Byron's side. Looks like to be another Force of Will drawn. Another 7 damage coming across on Rob. He's got 1 turn to figure this out. He's going to double fetch, throwing Caution to the Wind, and picks up an Urza's Saga. We'll see you in game number 3. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to game 3. Rob's going to be on the play. Both players have kept 7. So a Bayou coming out and a Green Sun Zenith for a Dryad Arbor from Rob. Pass back over to Byron, who's probably going to follow up with a land and a spell of his own. He does have a Brainstorm and a Ponder in his hand. He also has a Lure Revealed, so he could just land cycle here if he's not happy with his mana base at the moment. But he says that get that Bayou out of here with a Wasteland. Back over to Rob. Hopefully he has a little bit more mana to play with than just that Dryad Arbor. Does have a Windswept Heath in hand, so he could Green Sun again for something like a... What the fuck is that? I have no idea what that is. Oh, it's a Sylvan Library. Just a weird art. So, Sylvan Library, Byron says, no thank you to that. I prefer you not be able to look at a whole bunch of cards while I'm trying to develop my game plan. And back over to Byron. I don't think he has another Wasteland, but he does have a Tundra. We'll probably see him either Brainstorm or Cycle Lure Revealed. Rob does have looks like a Source of Posture in his hand now, which is a big plus. Attack from the Dryad Arbor. Big beats here on the battlefield. In a turn, Cycle Lure Revealed. Picking up something. I couldn't quite make it out because I edited it too strong. It was a tropical island that he grabbed. Byron has another Wasteland, which is not a bad thing. I believe that Rob still has a Windswept Heath in his hand. Maybe. If he doesn't, then that could spell a disaster for him. And a pickup, and no, he does not have another land in his hand. All right, we're in for a game here. He may have used that Windswept Heath I was thinking about on that Savannah. All right, so this game is now a bean game, and I don't know if Rob could really afford to let the Haywire Might go yet. Not drawing any lands is pretty tough. Those double Wastelands were brutal from Byron's side. And we're going to see an Endurance at the end step, picking off that graveyard. I don't know if he saw something I don't see here. Maybe a Murktide. Yeah, that makes sense. A Murktide coming out next turn that he can't quite handle at the moment. While he does have Source of Postures, he has no white mana. So heads up play by Rob here. And we'll see how Byron reacts to this. Just gives it a little shuffle there. Asks Rob if he wants to cut it. And there's a Terminus off the top, which could send Rob back to the Stone Age if he would have cast that. Which, in hindsight, I probably would have done that. I don't know if maybe he's saying, I drew this card. It's going to be Terminus. I'd like to miracle it. Maybe that's what the conversation's about right here. Because I know that I would have done that. Because it would have sent Rob so far back. Also would have triggered the Bean as well. But it looks like he's going to have to set it back up with Brainstorm this coming turn. Which isn't a bad thing. It puts him in a really good position here. 2 Prismatic Endings, 2 Source Postures for Rob, so he can handle something if he gets some mana going here. But let's see what Byron has for him. Looks like he's thinking about a Leyline Binding, perhaps, on the Haywire Might. That's pretty smart. He gets to draw a card, and the Haywire Might can't be activated to blow up the Bean. And still no land. Triple Prismatic Ending now with just the Dryad Arbor in play. We could see a Brainstorm setup on this Terminus here to let Byron do that, but he chooses not to. Holds the Force of Will. Got a Thoughtseize. I don't know if Thoughtseize really is going to get you anywhere here. You've got a lot going for you. You just really need to get this board state or get some sort of threat. I'm sorry, is that a 3rd Source of Plowshare in Rob's hand? Yes, it is. So he's sitting with 2 3-of-a-kinds in poker. That's probably not legal. But we'll see a neg 3, neg 1 on Byron's turn because that's not an instant. So, well, hopefully Robs can find something here to actually get this. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, he's technically ahead at the moment, but it looks like we're going to see that Witherbloom command actually get used now to kill the Dryad Arbor, as well as mill 3 cards. Potentially, he has to mill 3 cards first. He can choose to mill Rob or mill himself. So it looks like he's probably going to mill himself 3 cards, and then he can pick a land back up out of those 3 cards. So he milled, looks like a Force of Will, a Tundra, and a Beanstalk. Byron has all the cards in the world. Rob has all of the removal in the world. It's about time to start discarding after this turn, unless he finds a land. What a hand. to have versus a creature deck that isn't showing any creatures at the moment. If Byron only knew that Rob was rolled up as heavy as he is. Byron can't seem to find anything either. He can play a Lore Revealed at the end step, and I think Lore Revealed is an instant. It may actually be a sorcery. But he can draw 4 cards off the Lore Revealed no matter what. So he could fetch away what he just put on top, play a land, and then cast Lore Revealed, which I think he might do. Looks like we're going to probably Thoughtseize here, and Byron, I imagine Byron's probably going to chuckle when he sees this hand of triple Swords of Plowshare, triple Prismatic Ending, and a Bowmaster. And he's going to take the Bowmaster. Jesus. Insult to injury here. Byron is well in control of the game, as Rob has no threats to do anything with. He did find a land, congratulations. But as soon as he starts to try and deploy threats, there is a Terminus and a Force of Will in Byron's hand to handle any creatures that are on the board. Dress down, Jesus, what the fuck? This game is taking forever. Wow, it's incredible how like Byron has seen and drawn so much and just not found anything to really close this game out with yet. So a trigger off the Beanstalk will let him draw 1. There's a Triumph of St. Catherine, so he can hardcast that next turn, and he's going to pick up 3 spells here. He can protect the Triumph of St. Catherine once with the Force of Will in his hand, but Rob does have multiple Swords of Plowshares, so it's going to be pretty tough to keep it around for too long. I guess we've got a couple turns to figure this out still. I think you pitch the Dress Down. Maybe the Thoughtseize. I don't know. Maybe the Thoughtseize is pretty important to take the Swords of Plowshare. We'll see a fetch and a Thoughtseize discarded. Okay. So 2 out. We'll see a Prismatic Ending on the Bean. Now that he can actually cast some spells. See, Byron's going to let that go. So, as long as Byron doesn't find a Wasteland, he'll be in pretty good shape here. So, Tundra, we'll probably see a Triumph of St. Catherine come out, which is unfortunate. Well, no, we can see a Murktide first. A Bean, then a Murktide. That makes sense. Oh, geez, now he's got double Force of Will. I think with enough protection as well. So he can Murktide here, get it, catch a Swords on it, play the Triumph of St. Catherine the following turn, and then protect it twice. So, alright. Here comes the Murktide. It's a 6/6, a trigger. Jeez, Pernicious Deed. What a beating. Alright, it's a Green Suns. So he could start to reset his mana base here by Green Sunning, but I don't know if he wants to take that hit from the Murktide. We can see a Hardcast Force of Will here if we wanted, which I think we're going to see. Nope, Byron just says, I'll just pitch a Ponder and use my Beanstalk to keep me at parity on cards. So that makes sense. 6 coming across on the Murktide. See if he wants to put this Triumph of St. Catherine out now. It closes the game out next turn if he does. Alright, so Triumph is out, trigger on the Bean, and he has enough counter magic, I think, to close this game out. Swords of Plowshare, again, Wasteland, not enough anytime soon. See an untap, and I mean a hard. Jesus, another fucking Triumph of St. Catherine. Holy shit! And a trigger on the Beans as well. Having been absolutely destroyed by this deck in the 1K, I can definitely say those Triumph of St. Catherines are a bitch to deal with. All right, Swords on the Murktide, Force of Will number 2, and that's that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.